Having too much confidence might be bad. It has sparked wars, brought down empires, deceived countries, and killed men who thought they were safe. But it is also the only thing that has built kingdoms, sparked revolutions, and made regular people unforgettable. Having faith in yourself is not enough. You need to use it as a weapon. And like any other weapon, it can save your life or take it away. Most people are taught that being confident is not dangerous and even good, that it's just having faith in yourself or thinking positively. But that's a falsehood meant to keep you calm. There has never been a safe way to have real confidence, the type that makes others do what you want without knowing why. It draws you in, puts you in a trance, and makes you feel uneasy. It burns when you use it without knowing how. But once you perfect it, no one can touch you. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli knew this to be true. He understood that the person who hesitates is ruled, while the person who radiates certainty rules. In The Prince, he said that people are so simple and so subject to present necessities that those who lie would always find those who will believe them. That isn't a lesson about lying, it's a lesson about having faith. People will believe you even when it's not true if you act like you can't be doubted. This is the paradox. Society values being humble, modest, and self-controlled. You are told not to take up too much room, not to speak too loudly, and not to be too proud. But the world bows to those who do the opposite. The man who is sure of himself bends reality to fit his needs. The man who questions and asks for permission is forgotten. So, why do we learn to kill our own confidence? Why is it that the feature that gives someone power is discouraged from birth? Take a moment to think about it. You were awarded for following the rules, not for being brave. People urged you not to be too much in conversations. You were informed that being confident is excellent in relationships, but being arrogant is not. You were taught to soften yourself, to ask yourself questions, and to keep the fire that wants to roar inside you in check. But haven't you felt it deep down? That moment when you knew you were right and could have spoken with complete authority, but something inside you stopped you? That doubt wasn't smart. It was conditioning. People are scared of confidence because it messes up the fragile order they hold on to. When you enter into a room and act like you own it, you remind other people how fragile and unsure of themselves they are. They hate you for it, but they can't stop being around you. Machiavelli said that men will despise people who make them feel weak, but they will also serve them. You need to learn how to deal with that terrible tension. The more convinced of yourself you are, the more loyalty and contempt you will get in equal measure. Are you ready for that? What would happen if you took away all the doubts, apologies, and timid hesitations that have been pounded into you? What if you walked around with the full knowledge that you are already selected, worthy, and untouchable? Would the people around you respect you or want to hurt you? Would your life finally start, or would it fall apart because of other people's jealousy? This is the big problem. Being confident makes you free, but it also makes you dangerous. The weak will hate you, and the strong will perceive you as a threat. That's why most people never let it all out. They put safety ahead of freedom. But safety is a lie. You are not safe until you have deadly confidence. You are just invisible. So the question is, do you want to be remembered as the person who lived quietly and never made waves, or as the one who scared the world just by being there? Do you want people to put up with you or do what you say? There is no in-between. And the more you dig, the more you will see that the confidence you have been taught to hide is not just a skill, but a weapon for staying alive. Machiavelli was aware of it. Nietzsche alluded to it. Jung found its dark sides. And if you don't grasp it, you'll constantly be in the shadow of those who do. The way ahead is not safe. What you are about to face will take away the lies you've believed for years. You will understand why the world worked together to keep this knowledge hidden inside you. and you'll start to see why hazardous confidence is not only rare, but also dreaded. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You do have confidence. It has always been there. What is missing is permission. The internal permission to let it go without fear. From the time you were born, things bigger than you started to change you into something lesser. Your parents, teachers, schools, and even friends all had a hand in changing your natural will to make it more acceptable. And this is the first tragedy. You were taught that it is wrong to be confident and right to doubt yourself. This is backed up by psychology. Carl Jung talked about the shadow, which is the portion of our minds that we hide because it scares us or other people. This shadow frequently hides confidence that is real and unedited. People label kids who say it arrogant. People label teens who use it careless. People who dare to show it are branded dangerous. And so, piece by piece, society convinces you to expatriate your confidence into darkness, until one day you no longer know how to access it. But Jung's shadow is not destruction, it is promise. The things we hold back don't go away, they wait. They get worse, they get bigger, and they change. And what you don't want to see in yourself will show up in other people, often in ways that make you dependent on them. That's why you like leaders, celebrities, or those who seem to have the confidence you want. You look up to them, want to be like them, and sometimes even idolize them because they are like you in certain ways. This is not by chance. Nietzsche said that modern morality, which has been created by centuries of religious and cultural training, teaches that weakness is a good thing. He talked about the slave morality, which is a system created to keep the populace obedient, afraid of their own strength, and cooperative. He thought that humility, meekness, and obedience were not holy values, but ways to dominate others. People started to think that good was everything that kept them calm. Evil became everything that may upset the delicate balance. And what could be more dangerous than a person who won't bend? Machiavelli, the cold realist, comes in. While Nietzsche yelled about slave morality, Machiavelli quietly looked at power itself. He saw confidence as a need, not as a good or bad thing. A prince who was unsure, who said he was sorry, and who made himself less threatening, was already dead. He stated, "It is better to be feared than loved, because terror keeps devotion in place when love can change." The truth behind those words is harsh. People are driven to certainty, not warmth. They want someone who knows exactly who he is and what he wants, because it takes away the painful burden of choice. The problem is that your confidence has been buried under years of indoctrination that was meant to keep you predictable. Parents pass it on without knowing. Schools do it in a planned way. Workplaces require it all the time. You learn to ask for permission for everything, like speaking up, going for your goals, saying what you want, and being there. The consequence is a civilization of lions that are held back, animals who could be in charge but are taught to act like sheep. But this repression does have a psychological cost. When you want to talk but don't, a crack forms. When you hide your strength to make others feel better, you get more angry. Over time, this leads to what Jung called neurosis, which is a sickness of the spirit. You feel restless, unhappy, and silently angry, but you can't always put your finger on why. You work hard, you get things done, and you follow the rules, but deep down, you know that you want something more, something basic and unapologetic. Your shadow is calling you to eat. Your lost confidence is asking to come back. But this is where the danger lies. When you hold it back for too long, it doesn't come back as calm, concentrated strength. It comes out as rage, pride, or even self-destruction. Jung said that the longer we ignore our shadow, the more fiercely it will come into our lives. That's why so many men fall apart when they eventually get power. They never learned how to use their confidence. They just pushed it down, and when it comes out, it eats them up. You are at a crossroads. You can either stay stuck in chains of humility that you can't see, or you can face the roots of this conditioning and get back what was taken from you. But think about it. Why would the world want to bury your confidence in the first place? Why has it taken hundreds of years to train you to be afraid of being there? The answer is not moral. It isn't philosophical. It makes sense. Confidence throws things out of order. A man who is sure of himself is hard to control. Fear and praise won't work on him. He becomes unpredictable, which scares systems of control. Governments, churches, businesses, and even families all need people to follow their rules in order to work. And skepticism is necessary for obedience. That is why confidence is not rewarded but punished. It is why you have been taught to see danger where there is only freedom and hubris where there is only certainty. But here's the funny thing. By holding back your confidence, you've made yourself more open to attack, not less. You were told that being humble keeps you safe, but that's not true. It makes you more vulnerable. Those who grasp confidence, those few who are brave enough to truly accept it, become the builders of reality, while the rest of us are stuck in it. They are not smarter or stronger than you. They just had the nerve to let out what you've been hiding. And this is the source of the problem that isn't obvious. The chains around you aren't real. They are in your mind. You were never told the whole truth. That confidence is not a personality feature, but a kind of strength. Power that other people want to keep away from you. Now the question is clear. If your confidence has been taken away, and your view of it has been twisted into guilt, what has it really cost you to live without it? The solution is not just in philosophy, but also in the small, hidden effects that affect every part of your existence. And once you witness those effects, you will never see yourself or the world the same way again. When you bury your confidence, it doesn't just go away. It changes. You might not even notice how much it changes everything in your life when it's not there. It gets into your relationships, your goals, your body language, and even the way you breathe. And the worst part? You don't often recognize that what you're going through isn't fate, poor luck, or just how things are. It's the hidden effects of living without your own dangerous confidence. First, look at the mind. Neuroscience shows us that the brain is made to look for patterns, shortcuts, and ways to stay alive. Your brain gives up power to others when you don't feel confident. You look to other people for permission, approval, and proof that you can do something. Every time you pause, a cognitive loop gets stronger. Hesitation, doubt, reliance. This becomes the default state over time. Your brain actually changes how it works to avoid the risk of becoming assertive. You become neurologically conditioned to stay small. And this programming doesn't just stay in your head, it spreads. People can tell you're not confident before you even say anything. They can tell by the way your shoulders droop, the way your eyes hesitate, and the way your voice shakes. Every little thing we do, from a pause to a gesture, shows how confident we are or aren't. People, whether they want to or not, are predators of certainty. They can smell blood like animals can smell weakness. That's why chances often slip through your fingers without you even knowing it. You might be very smart and competent, but if you can't show that you're sure of yourself, people will naturally distrust you. Not on purpose. No one thinks, this person is hesitant, so I don't want to be with them. They don't think about it. They just feel it. Something doesn't land. Something doesn't anchor. Someone else gets the job. The relationship fades away. The room doesn't even remember you were there. Confidence isn't just about how well you do on the outside. It's also about how you talk to yourself on the inside. Without it, uncertainty about yourself spreads like a virus. This is what psychologists call the inner critic. That nagging voice that tells you you're not ready, not good enough, or not enough. And here's the horrible paradox. The more you listen, the more you believe it, and the more your believing makes it true. You question, then you pause, then you fail, and then you doubt even more. This loop keeps millions of people in silent despair, thinking that their lack of advancement is their fate, when it is really only a sign of lost confidence. The effects go beyond the person and affect society as a whole. Cultures without self-assured individuals foster hierarchies of dependency. They put celebrities, politicians, leaders, and gurus on a pedestal, almost as if they were gods, because most people can't handle being in charge of their own lives. This is why people follow individuals who seem sure of themselves, even when that confidence is false and leads to disaster. There are many examples in history of whole countries being led to ruin by the weight of one man's constant presence. Machiavelli was very familiar with this dynamic. He recognized that confidence is not only attractive, but also spreads. When it gets out, it spreads like fire through organizations, movements, and civilizations. But the opposite is also true. When confidence is low, weakness spreads. Fear of people becomes a part of culture. Law is based on fear. People can be trained to doubt their own conviction, which can lead to the collapse of entire civilizations. And you, who live in this time, are not safe. The situation gets worse because of social media. When you look at curated pictures of other people and compare yourself to them, you give up control over your own worth without even realizing it. Every like, every comment, and every algorithmic signal adds another link to the network. You are a puppet without dangerous confidence, with strings you can't see pulling your sense of self. But maybe the worst thing that happens is that you start to settle. You set your goals lower to fit how you feel about yourself. You tell yourself that being safe is being happy, and that being silent and accepting things is being peaceful. You think of being okay with being average as contentment. But you know the truth deep down. You are not at peace. You are trapped. Even when you have to act like a sheep, the lion inside you never forgets that it is a lion. It moves about inside you, waiting for a chance to break free. This is why so many people are quietly angry. They feel like they can do more, but they can't reach it. They feel like they were intended for great things, but they can't claim them. They feel the heat, but they are afraid of the burn. And so they die out, year after year, until the idea of hazardous confidence seems like a dream from an other existence. But the trap is even deeper. You don't avoid danger by not being confident. You draw it to you. The individual who lacks confidence is a target. He is easier to control, take advantage of, and disregard. People don't see him as an opportunity, but they do see him as a weakness. His life is not safer, it is shorter. Not having confidence doesn't protect you, it makes you a slave. Stop for a moment and think about how much this hidden absence has already changed your life. How many decisions, how many times of silence, and how many concessions came about not because of wisdom, but because of fear? What have you lost? Not because you weren't able to, but because you were too afraid to take a perilous step forward. People don't often say what the effects are, yet they are everywhere. They say it's terrible luck. They call it timing. They say it's fate. But really, it's just the long shadow of confidence that has been hidden. But you can face your fears. You can break chains. The question isn't if confidence is risky. It's if you're willing to face that danger head on, get back what was taken from you, and use it as your own. Rebellion is the only way out of this trap. You were never lacking confidence. It was taken from you, suffocated, and converted into humiliation. And the effects of this suppression are all around you. In the decisions you make, the way you stand, and the life you chose instead of the one you desired. But just being recognized isn't enough. Awareness is pointless without rebellion. And fighting against something that is so deep and so much a part of who you think you are is not easy. It is violent, extreme, and changes things. You need to let rid of the idea that confidence will arrive later, after more preparation, permission, or safety, in order to break free. The initial link in the chain is that untruth. You don't wait for confidence, you take it. Machiavelli said that luck favors those who are brave, not those who are afraid. He said that luck is like a lady who only gives in to people who hit her hard, not people who hang about the margins. This is not poetry, it is the law. Life rewards being brave, not being afraid. But insurrection starts on the inside, not the outside. You have to face your shadow, just like Jung said. The trust you buried is still there. It is only waiting in the shadows. You need to address the pieces of yourself that you've been ignoring. Your ambition, your hunger, your need to be in charge, and your reluctance to be little. You are scared of these aspects because you were told they made you selfish, dangerous, and arrogant. And maybe they do. But they also give you life. The key is integration. You shouldn't push your shadow down. Instead, you should merge it with your conscious self until you are whole, unapologetic, and indivisible. How do you go about this? By doing something before getting authorization, by talking when it's easier to be quiet, by picking when it feels safe to be unsure. Every act of resistance against doubt builds a muscle that hasn't been used in a long time. Nietzsche referred to this as the urge to power, not necessarily power over others, but power over oneself. Every time you choose to act instead of hesitate, you change the loops in your brain that have kept you from doing what you want to do. You instruct your nervous system to be sure of things instead of doubting them. But rebellion is not just in the mind, it is also in the body. Confidence is in both the head and the body. You can't rationalize your way into it. You have to live it. This is why tone, posture, and presence are important. A man who stands tall, breathes deeply, and moves slowly gets people's attention long before he talks. It's not magic, it's science. People are naturally drawn to signs of assurance. People can't help but respond when your body radiates it. You must train your body to go along with your mind's rebellion if you want to break free. And here's the paradox. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable to really feel confident. You need to face your fears and stand your ground. Nietzsche said, to be able to give birth to a dancing star, one must still have chaos in oneself. Fear, resistance, and uncertainty are all parts of chaos. But if you lean into it instead of running away, it turns into fire. Every brave thing you do, no matter how small, makes the deadly confidence inside you grow. Every risk you take tells your soul, I won't let fear control me. History proves it. Caesar crossed the Rubicon, knowing it would start a civil war but not backing down. Alexander marched into Asia with only a small part of his enemy's army, yet he acted if the world already belonged to him. Churchill stood in front of a country that had been bombed and spoke as if triumph were certain. These guys weren't gods. They were people who knew a simple truth. You have to act confident before you feel it. You don't wait for others to believe in you. You behave like they do, and it will in time. But being harsh is also a part of revolt. Machiavelli said that men who want to be in charge must learn not to be good when being good would put their lives at risk. This doesn't mean being mean for the sake of being mean. It means not letting others decide how much you are worth. It involves saying no when people expect you to be quiet. It involves getting rid of those who make you doubt yourself. It implies being okay with being disliked or even hated if it means keeping true to your own authority. Most folks can't handle this. They want too much approval, and that's why they stay weak. So ask yourself, can you handle the anger of others? Can you handle the whispers of hubris, the accusations of pride, and the jealousy of those who can't be as good as you? If not, your rebellion will collapse before it even starts. Dangerous confidence isn't just about feeling strong. It's also about being able to handle the reaction that comes with it. Machiavelli said that men love when it's easy for them to do so, but they are always afraid. Some people will love you if you act confident, but most will be afraid of you, and that fear will make them plan against you. That is the cost. But it also shows that you are no longer hidden. So the uprising isn't easy. It is a fire that burns away doubt, submission, and fear. But on the other side of that heat is something that very few people ever touch. The power to go through the world without being touched. To talk and have people hear you. To change the gravity of every room you enter into. To make choices that most people wouldn't even think about. To show the power that has been inside you since you were born. This isn't about being arrogant. It's not about bragging. Dangerous confidence isn't loud. It's something you can't ignore. It doesn't scream, it echoes. It is the quiet confidence of someone who knows he can't be broken, even if people are against him. That's what you get for rebelling. Not being afraid, but not giving in to it. Not having no adversaries, but being able to stand taller than them. Not the lack of doubt, but the presence of certainty. You have a choice: stay in the cage or step into the fire. You can either live a life of obscurity or have a presence so strong that it shakes the world. You have to join the revolt. It is the only way to go. And if you have the guts to pay the price and take it, you will learn a truth so profound and final that it will change not only how you live, but also how you see reality itself. There is one further step, a fact that is so disturbing that most people who see it go back to the safety of delusion. Because true confidence, the kind that may be deadly, is not what you believe it is. It's not only about standing tall, speaking clearly, or being assertive. Those are signs, not the cause. The root is far deeper, more freeing, and more dangerous than most people are willing to admit. The fundamental reality is that confidence is not believing in yourself. It's not caring if other people believe in you. Consider it. Your confidence is weak as long as it depends on praise, acknowledgement, and validation. You can lose it the instant the crowd turns, the moment the ovation stops, or the moment rejection hurts. That's not confidence. That's reliance that looks like strength. A man who craves approval isn't sure of himself. He is still chained and begging. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone else. In The Prince, he said that a king shouldn't rely on the changing winds of the people's adoration, but on his own determination. Love has conditions. Approval is not always there. Fear, respect, and most importantly, the ruler's unshakable belief in his own power are what last. This truth means something scary for you outside of politics. Confidence is the ability to stand tall, even when the world doesn't support you. This is why so many people don't understand what real confidence is. They look for it in the wrong places. They look for it in money, position, acclaim, and achievement. They want the world to agree with them so they can finally feel strong. Nietzsche, on the other hand, mocked this need for approbation, calling it the morality of slaves. A master doesn't ask for recognition. He knows who he is. He doesn't wait for the world to give him a crown. Even if no one else wants to see it, he already wears the crown. And here's the paradox that should stop you in your tracks. You have confidence the instant you stop requiring it. You give off something that can't be shaken when you stop looking for validation and stop begging the world to show you how valuable you are. Because nothing can be taken away from you. You can't be hurt by rejection. You can't let failure define you. Hate can't break you. You are not sure of yourself because the world agrees with you. You are sure of yourself because the world no longer cares. Carl Jung would term this individuation, which is fully bringing together your shadow and your conscious self. To individuate means to break free from the collective trance, stop living for other people's approval, and start living from the center of who you are. You have to carry both your brightness and your darkness without making excuses. And once you accomplish this, people will be drawn to you like a magnet. Not because you want followers, but because people can't help but be drawn to someone who doesn't require anything. This is the last and most dangerous kind of confidence. Not being arrogant or brave, but being completely independent. Someone who has stopped begging is quietly, immovably there and can't be touched. Systems are scared of this kind of confidence. It makes leaders uneasy and breaks down hierarchies. Because how do you govern a man who is not ashamed? How can you control someone who doesn't want your approval? How do you hurt someone who isn't afraid of being rejected anymore? The answer is easy. You can't. This is why people who are dangerously confident are so rare. Most individuals can't handle the loneliness it requires. To stop letting other people's ideas define you, you have to be alone for a while. It means giving up the comfort of applause, the sweetness of praise, and the warmth of being part of something. It means being misunderstood, hated, and even criticized. But if you can get through that fire, you'll be unbreakable. Machiavelli would say this is the armor of power. Nietzsche would say that it is the birth of the Übermensch, the person who makes his own rules instead of following the crowd. Jung would say that it is the integration of the shadow. Whatever you want to call it, the truth is the same. You become free. Not necessarily in charge of other people, but in charge of yourself. And that sovereignty can't be bought, bribed, or taken. Stop and think about how your life might be different if you really didn't require permission. What if you did things, said things, and moved about without saying sorry? Could you stand in the maelstrom of rejection, betrayal, or even hate and not be moved? Would anything or anyone really be able to control you? The truth is scary because it takes away excuses. You realize that the only thing stopping you from dangerous confidence is not luck, not talent, and not circumstance. It's your desire to quit asking. Stop giving your worth to other people like it's a gift they can take away. So, dangerous confidence isn't the same as not being afraid. It is not saying you are weak. It is not kneeling. It is the choice to stay whole even when the world tries to break you apart. It is the understanding that nothing external can augment or diminish you. You are already whole. Once you embrace this, you don't walk into a room expecting to be selected anymore. You walk in knowing you are already the choice. That is the truth in the end. And it's not safe. The instant you embody it, you will split the planet. Some people will hate you for it and call you cold, arrogant, and untouchable. Others will circle around you because they can't help but be drawn to someone who is free. But they won't ignore you, no matter how much they love or despise you. And that is what real confidence looks like. You become unforgettable. So here you are, at the door. The way is perilous. It will cost you the comfort of being loved, the ease of being small, and the false sense of safety. But it gives you something that money can't buy: freedom, presence, and sovereignty. The ability to speak up for yourself in a world that wants to keep you quiet. This is the crown that Machiavelli hinted at, the star that Nietzsche wanted, and the totality that Jung talked about. It waits for you, though, if you have the guts to take it. So the question is, will you enter this fire knowing that it will burn away your lies, your justifications, and even your comforts? Will you accept a level of confidence that is so high that no one or nothing can ever control you again? Or will you turn away, go back into the shadows, and live in peace, away from everyone? You have always had the choice.